my interview was December 11th. I got refused. Later point, I'm Googling and YouTube, and I'm seeing a lot of your videos and other videos and all. Then I came to know, like, it was like I was misinfluenced by my friends who are now the period. I did not analyze anything. Simply, I believed them.
No. Okay. And about the form, did you get your form checked or you felt that the form was fine? Like the form.
My form check was like big mess. I did a lot of mess in my DS-160. That too, I identify after my biometric, and that too, one of your video popped up later, and then I realized a lot of messes in my lot of incorrect answers were there.
This student came to us after a rejection, and it's really painful to hear such experiences. A visa opportunity lost because the DS-160 form was not filled properly. In this video, I'm going to try and ensure that you don't make these mistakes. We're going to cover some really important aspects about the DS-160 form, and there's a detailed page-wise guide so that you can fill your form correctly. Let's get started. Hi guys, my name is Shachi and I'm a US visa coach. On this channel, you'll find lots of useful videos on the US visa process. We have an entire playlist for fall 2025, so make sure to check it out. Over the last 4 years, I've worked with thousands of students, helping them in their US visa journey, many of them with a prior rejection. So in the description box below, you'll find links of how you can work one-to-one with me for your DS-160 form, interview prep and mocks. And also we have some free resources which are going to help you in your preparation. So do check it out. So the DS-160 form is the only form that is required to be submitted for your US visa process. And this is the form that the visa officer is going to be looking at when you appear for the interview. In fact, there's so many interviews where the visa officer is not even looking at the person. They're just looking at the screen and looking at the DS-160 form. So needless to say, this form is not only one of the first steps that you take in your visa journey, but also one of the important ones. So I'm going to start the video by covering 5 pointers. These 5 pointers are often FAQs, and also I feel that these 5 pointers are where the mistakes tend to happen. So the first point is about starting the form. You need to start the form correctly to make sure that it does not expire. So to start the form, you're going to select your location, enter a captcha code, click on Start Application. Once you do that, you'll go to the next page, which displays your application ID and asks you to select a security question and an answer to it. This is a really important part of the form, and you need to save this information so that you are able to come back and log into the form. Without the application ID or knowing the security question, you will not be able to continue the form. Once you've done this, it's also important to move to the next page of the form and fill in at least some details. So immediately you will see the personal information page. So you can fill in some details like your name and save the form, and also just move between the pages of the form once or twice. This will make sure that your form has been started properly, and once you're done this, you can save, exit, and then come back later and complete it. Many times we see that people do not start the form properly. They either don't fill any information or they don't save the application ID. In such cases, the form can expire, and if you use this DS-160 number to book the appointment will not be valid anymore. So take a lot of care to start the form. It's not necessary to submit the form before booking the appointment, but it is necessary that the form remains active. So every 3 to 4 days, log into the form, toggle between the pages, make sure that you're updating some information so that your form remains active. And once you are ready and all the information is correct, then you can go ahead and submit it. The second pointer is about saving the form. Now, once you're done filling the form, it's really important to save it before you submit. Once the form is submitted, there is no way to get the information back. So saving the form is a very important step, and many times students forget, and we have many times students come to us for preparation, but they have forgotten to save the form. So once you're done filling, you will move to the review section. In the review section, you can check all the information, and here you can save the PDFs, save the pages of the form, and then go ahead and submit it. So there's going to be some time between filling the form and your actual interview, and during this time, you might have forgotten what information you have put in the form. So it's really important that you have the form handy with you, and it's also going to help you in your interview preparation. Speaking of review, we can help you in checking your DS-160 form. Since it's such an important document, I think getting the form checked and vetted is really important, especially the crucial areas like the reason for refusal, anything you have written about your gap years or if you're not employed, and your work description in making sure that is aligning with your profile and the course in the US. So to get a thorough review and assessment of your form, do check the link in the description box below. This brings me to the third point, filling a new form. So let's say that you filled a form, submitted it, used it to book your appointment, but now you realize that there are mistakes in your form, or you realize that the form could be improved. Maybe your work description could have been better, or the refusal reason could have been better. Well, if your biometric is not done, you still have time. Before your biometric, you have all the flexibility to fill a new form. So go ahead, fill a new form, do all the corrections or do all the changes, make your form better, and then submit it again. So once you've done that, you're going to have two confirmation pages, the original one, which you used to book the appointment, and the new one. All you have to do is to take the old and the new one with you for the biometrics and ask them to get it updated there. So at the biometric, just show both the pages and ask the coordinator to update the number, and they're going to update it in their system. And once that is updated, the visa officer will be able to see just the new form. So many times there are mistakes which happen. So in case your biometric is not done, you have nothing to worry. Fill a new form, get it updated in biometric. It's a really simple process and it's done very, very easily. And I know there are a lot of rumors or videos which talk about you cannot change the form once you've submitted, but that's not true. As of today, as of 1st May 2025, the DS-160 forms can be updated in biometric. All you need is the old confirmation page or the original one. And if you have that, you just show them the new one and get it updated in biometric. The fourth point is to realize that all parts of the DS-160 form are not the same. So the DS-160 form is quite a long form. There are about 7 pages. And the visa officer is just going to literally scan through the form in a matter of few seconds. So it's important to understand that all the sections of the form are not the same. There are some sections which are more important and which need more of your time and attention. Particularly, I would say that in the travel section, the person paying for your trip, this is important. It needs to align with your I-20 and with your answers. If you have a refusal, the reason for refusal, this is a highly, highly important box. And many, many times I see students just writing one line that refused under 214B. But again, I feel it's an opportunity lost. You have an entire box. You have so much space to explain your side of the story, to explain to the officer what were the things that went wrong last time, or what are the changes or improvements you have made for this attempt. And all of that needs to be in the box. In fact, we have a detailed video which is going to come up which will explain to you how to write the reason for refusal. So in case you are looking forward to that video, do give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment below saying reason for refusal, and we're going to make that video for you. Moving on, the next important part of the form is your family section. So whether you have any relatives in the US, yes, no, that's also one of the sections that visa officer are going to look at. And moving further comes the most important part of the form, the work education section. This is where the visa officer is going to spend the most amount of time, because for a student visa, your education profile and your work profile are really important. So having proper explanation for the work description in such a way that it's genuine, but it aligns with your profile and with the course in the US is very important. In case you're not working, you're not employed, proper explanation as to why is important. And of course, your education history. Many times I see that students include a lot of I would say unnecessary extra details in the education history, which actually hampers their chance of getting a visa. So knowing what to include and having proper formatting for all of these things is very, very important. So when you fill a form, make sure that you're spending more time and attention on these sections, and do keep watching the video because like I said, I have a detailed step-by-step guide coming up which is going to explain more. And the fifth pointer is about biometrics. We get a lot of question about what to do, what not to do in biometrics, and what is this really about. So biometrics is an important part of your visa process. It's the first appointment that you have. And here is where your photo and your fingerprint is taken. And this is used to actually print the visa. So when it comes to biometric, you need 5 documents. DS-160 confirmation is one of them. And in case you have filled a new form, you're going to take the new DS-160 confirmation as well. Along with that, for a student, you need your I-20, your passport. If you have any old passports, take that as well. And your appointment confirmation page. Service fee is usually not asked in biometrics, but I would say that it would be good to pay and take the service fee also with you. Also, it's really important to keep in mind that once the biometric is done, you cannot change any information about the form. So any change in university, any change in information about your work or education profile cannot be done post the biometric. So if you have your biometric date already booked, make sure that you do a thorough review, thorough analysis of the form before the biometric itself. So next part of the video, we're going to talk about actually filling the DS-160 form. And for this, I've put together a DS-160 toolkit. This is a video guide which is going to take you through the entire process. So right from starting the form correctly to filling the pages and finally reviewing and submitting it. And this toolkit explains all the questions, also gives you the various options and scenarios. So using this toolkit, you can fill the form with me while watching it. Now, as part of this video, I've included the first few modules of the toolkit. I couldn't include the entire thing. It's a very big toolkit. So after this video ends, you're going to see that you'll be able to see the toolkit here. And if you want to watch the rest of the toolkit, the link is right below in the description box. So you can continue to watch the other modules, which includes the travel, the US point of contact, family, work information, and so on. If you have any more questions, feel free to include it in the comment section below. You can also DM me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @shachi.mall. And do join the WhatsApp community for fall 2025. This community that I'm seeing over the last few days has really helped a lot of people get visa slots. It helped in answering a lot of questions. So be part of this community. It's definitely going to help you in your visa preparation. And of course, for a detailed preparation with me, feel free to reach out. You can book a one-to-one session. We also have packages which covers end-to-end, right from reviewing or filling your DS-160 form to preparing you for the interview and multiple mocks. This ensures that there are no errors in your form and you're properly covered. The link for all of this is right below in the description box. And once you're done watching all of it, do check out the rest of the toolkit and continue and fill your DS-160 form with us. Signing off for now, we have a lot more useful content coming up in the US visa process, especially for fall 2025. So stay tuned. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. So let's get started with the form, and first step is to actually find the DS-160. So it's an online application, so open up any of the browser that you're going to use. I'm going to use the Chrome browser. Open a new tab and simply just write DS-160 form filling. And you will see that the first link which is going to pop up is the official DS-160 link. So this is the ceac.state.gov link, and you will see that very clearly it's written online non-immigrant visa application DS-160. So this is what we need, and let's click on this. So this takes us to the beginning of the DS-160. So in this section, we're going to get started. We're going to set up a DS-160 form and understand the templates and the formats of the form. So the first question is, select the location where you'll be applying for this visa. So US embassies are located in multiple locations. So even within a country, there are multiple embassies available. For example, in India, we have 5 embassies which are available. So in this particular tab, you need to select the exact location from which you're going to be doing the visa application. Now, at this point of time, you might not know where the interview is going to be. So it is completely okay to select a tentative location when you start the application. And your actual visa interview can be in a different location from what you have selected in the form. So if we click on this box, you will see that all the countries are mentioned and also the exact embassy location is mentioned. For example, in Australia, there are 3 embassies: Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney, and so on. In all the other countries, the exact location is mentioned. So also in Canada, you can see that there's Montreal, Ottawa, Quebec, Toronto, Vancouver. So I'm going to scroll down to India, and you can see that in India we have Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, and New Delhi. So since this location is tentative, the best way to select it would be to select the embassy which is closest to your home address. So wherever is your home or permanent address, select the embassy closest to that. So my base is Bangalore, so I'm going to select Chennai, and you can select the one closest to you. Next, what the form asks us is for a captcha code. So just observe the code and enter it. Once we have done this, we have to click on this red tab that says Start an Application. So since we are filling out a fresh application, we're going to click on this Start Application. And this has got the form started for us. So at first there is a notice which you just need to read about not essentially using any kind of false information, not doing anything which is not okay, and click on agree. Once I do that, comes the next part, and this is really important. So the first thing that you'll notice in this section is the application ID. So you'll see this alphanumeric code which says that this is your application ID. Now it's very important to note this ID and keep it with you, because this is ID which is going to remain with you throughout your US visa application. Not only is it going to be used every time you want to access the DS-160 form, but also this ID will be required when you book your visa application, when you want to track the status of your visa. All of this will require this application ID. In fact, you must have heard of the term DS-160 confirmation number. The DS-160 confirmation number is nothing but this application ID itself. So there are various ways to save it. You can take a screenshot on your laptop, you can just note it down, or take a pic on your phone. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm quickly going to take a picture of this and save it on my phone. Once that is done, you can see that it asks for a security question and an answer to that. So a DS-160 form doesn't have any password or login. What it has is a security question. And again, when you want to access the form along with the application ID, you will be required to answer the security question. So select a question and an answer which you're going to remember. And if you want, again, keep a note of it. So I'm going to select the question, name of favorite childhood friend, and type in an answer here. Okay. And this has all the details entered now, and we're going to click continue. So now we are officially in. This is the beginning of our DS-160 form. Before we actually start filling it, let's just understand what all is there in the form. What are the various tabs? Because as you can see, there are various things scattered throughout the form. So I'll just give you a quick overview so that you feel more comfortable, you feel more in control when you're actually filling the form. So let's start from the top. On the top, you can see that there are 3 tabs which are mentioned. There is complete, review, and sign. So these are in fact the 3 stages of filling the DS-160 form. The first stage is complete, wherein you will be giving all the information that the form is going to ask. Next is review. So once we have entered all the information, we are taken to a review section wherein we can review the form, and if at all there are any errors or mistakes, we can go back and correct that in the form. And the last stage is the sign. So sign is basically you're going to put in your signature, your electronic signature, and submit the form. And once you have submitted the form, there is no changes which can be done in this particular visa application. So after this top tab is over, and if you come down on the right side, you will see again some more information here. So first is the application ID. So this is the same application ID that we noted previously, which is nothing but your DS-160 confirmation number. And another thing to note here is the expiration date. So DS-160 forms have an expiration. The expiration time is 30 days from the day you start the form. Now it's important to understand what exactly does this expiration time mean. It doesn't mean that in 30 days your form is automatically going to disappear. What it means is that if you start an application today and you do not log into it or do not do anything to it for the 30 days, that means you just keep it null and void for 30 days, that form is going to expire and you have to start a new application. But let's say that over the course of, I start an application today and over the course of the next few days, I keep logging in, then every time I log in, the timeline of the form extends by 30 days. Nevertheless, you need not wait for 30 days to finish the application. Once you have all the information with you, it's best to get it done as soon as possible and move to the next stage of the US visa journey. However, just for your information, you should know what the expiration means. And then it gives an estimated burden, which is basically an approximate time required to complete the form, which says 90 minutes. However, we are going to try and finish it within 1 hour. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, so this is the top section of the form. Next, let's take a look at the left. So on the left side, you will see that again there are tabs, and these tabs are what we are actually going to be filling. So these are the sections of the DS-160. You will see that there's personal, travel, passport, address, US contact, family, work, and security. So these are the individual sections of the DS-160 form, and within each of these sections, there are going to be questions. You will also notice that a small tick which has appeared. So as and when you complete a section, it's going to tick. So right now we finished the getting started section where we set up the form and we have a tick. And as and when we proceed, you will see that more ticks are going to appear. And the last thing to note in the form are these small comments that are scattered throughout the form where you can see help. So this is nothing but useful guidelines, which are basically like prompts, which are going to help you answer particular questions. So if at all you're confused or you're not sure, you can just see if those prompts are going to help you. However, you don't need to worry much about these prompts because I'm going to be taking you through the form and telling you exactly what to fill. So with this, we have come to the end of the first part, that is getting started. So we have our form set up, we have our application ID, we know our security question, and we have all the information ready with us. So now in the next section, I'm going to start with the first part of the DS-160, that's the personal information and we're going to fill it up. So I'll see you in that. So welcome to the first section, that's the personal information, and let's start filling this out. So the first thing that you will notice is that it asks for names, the surname and the given name is asked. The most important point to keep in mind here is that these names have to match exactly the way it's written in your passport. So do not refer to any other document like Aadhaar card, your birth certificate or your driver license. All you need is your passport to fill out this detail. So it asks for two names, the surname and the given name. Now given name is essentially the first name that you have, and in case you have any middle name, then the middle name also comes as part of the given name. For example, let's say that my given name is Garcia Miguel, then I'm going to enter Garcia and enter Miguel here. So this is because I have a middle name, so I've entered both the things here. But if you don't have any middle name, you just have one name, the first name, then you just enter it out here. And then is the surname. So surname is the next part of your name, so that will come here. So I'm going to enter Fernandez. So you will see that the same format is there in the passport. You have a given name and a surname. Now there's a special case for those of you who do not have any surname in the passport. So there are a lot of Indian passports wherein no surname is mentioned, the surname section is left blank and only the given name is there. So if that is the case with you, there's a slight change in the way you're going to fill the form. So what we're going to do in that case, let's say that my passport only has the name Garcia, then that name has to be filled out here in the surname and the given name has to be written as FNU. So I know it sounds contradictory that I'm putting my given name in the surname, but that is a format to be followed for the DS-160 form. In fact, you can see that the same thing is mentioned here as well, that if only one name is listed in your passport, enter that in the surname and keep the given name as FNU. And this is because when you actually submit the form, you will see that the names in fact gets reversed. So if you don't have any surname, then the given name, that's Garcia, will come first once you submit the form. But for now, for filling out, just follow this format that if you don't have any surname, put the name in the surname section itself. So let me just go back to what I had filled for reference and then we can move to the next question. So here I have the name and the surname. Next it's asking for full name in native alphabet. Now for majority of us it would be does not apply. So this is only required if your passport is not in English or if none of your documents are in English, which wouldn't be the case if you're going for a student visa. So I'm going to just tick does not apply here and move to the next question. Here it asks, have you used any other name, maiden, religious, professional, etc. So, which means that during the course of your academic or your professional life, if you have used any other name, then that name needs to be indicated here. For example, some of you here might have got married and changed your surname. If that is the case, then your maiden name, that is the name that you used before getting married, needs to be declared here. Or some of you might have had a name change. And if the original name has been mentioned in any of the documents like your 10th, 12th marks card or any of your work related documents, then that needs to be declared here. So if you've used any other name, you'll have to select yes. And once you select yes, you can see that the form is asking for that name, that original name that you used, and that has to be entered here. So for the sake of this form, I'm going to select yes and enter the maiden name. Alright. In case you have used more than one names earlier, you can also add another section here and declare all of the other names as well. When it comes to US visa application, it's best to be transparent. It's best to give as much information as possible. So just in case you have more than one previous name, please add all of that here. Next, do you have a telecode that represents your name? So again, this is used very rarely in some countries. As far as India is concerned, we don't have any telecode representing your name. So we're going to select that as no. Next, select your gender. So it gives an option of male or female. So select this. And then comes the marital status. So marital status is again a very important aspect of your application. Whatever is your marital status is something which not only impacts your visa application, but could potentially impact application of your dependents who might apply in the future. So it's really important to be again honest here and give your actual marital status. So you can see that there are various options which are shown: married, common law marriage, civil union, basically partnerships, single, widowed, divorced, legally separated, and other. So whichever category you fall in, please select this. And for some of you, you might not be with your spouse, but you're not yet legally divorced or separated. In that case, there is the option of other. So you can select other and just put in a brief explanation. For example, let's say that you can just say that living separately from the last 5 years, which means that you're not yet legally divorced or separated, but you have been living separately from the last 5 years. Separately. Okay. Separately spelling is wrong. So I'm going to do this section again. So there's also an option to select other. So for some of you who might not be with your spouse, but you're not yet legally separated or divorced, it's best to select this option and just give the explanation. So for example, you can select other and write a very simple explanation, which could be something like this, that living separately from the last 5 years, which means that you haven't been in contact with each other, you are living separately, but there is no legal status as such. Okay, so I'm going to change it back to married, and that's because I want to show you other sections of the form which come when you select married, and then we'll move to the next. Next, it asks for date and place of birth. So again here, this is really important, very important to be accurate here. So enter all of these details exactly the way it's shown in your passport. So I'm going to pull out these details for the sake of this form and enter it here. So first is the date. So I'm going to select 20th of March 1990. Then city, let's select Delhi, and state Delhi, and country, region, India. So all of this refers to your place of birth. Keep that in mind. The date you were born, the city, the state you were born, and India. So in case there is no state or province for you, you can also select does not apply. So I have filled in the first page, which essentially has my name, my other name, my marital status and gender, and my date of birth. Before you move on to the next page, very important to click save. Now, the DS-160 form will automatically save when you move to the next page. But in case the system gets timed out and it logs you out, then all the information that you have entered will be lost. So just for that, make sure that every time you fill in one page, you just click on save. When you click on save, it will tell you that the application has been saved, and for the next 30 days, you will have access to this application. So you just click continue application, and then it will continue, and then we can just move on to the next page. So essentially, to summarize, saving is automatic, but just to be really sure that you don't lose any data when the form logs you out or gets timed out, it's best to save it after each page. Now we are at the second page of the personal information. So let's continue here. First, it's asking for country or region of origin, basically your nationality. So we're going to select that. That means which is the country you hold the passport of. So if you hold an Indian passport, then your nationality origin is India. So we're going to select this. Next, it asks, do you hold or have held any nationality other than the one indicated above? So in case in the past you had nationality of any other country, let's say that you did have passport of any other country previously and you have given that up, then you need to indicate that here. So just for the sake of explaining, you can see that if you select yes, it will ask you which country's passport or nationality you had and whether you still hold that particular passport. And in case you have it for more than one country, you can indicate that here as well. So we're going to select this no for now and then move to the next question where it asks, are you a permanent resident or of any other country other than your home country or other than your country of nationality? So some of you might have been born and brought up in other countries, which means that you might have a permanent residency or a PR of that particular country. If yes, you need to indicate it here. Please note that this is different from a work visa. A lot of times we get questions that I have a long-term work visa of a particular country and I've been working there for many years. That is not the same as permanent residency. Permanent residency means the PR or the permit to reside and live in that country. If you have that, that is the only thing that you need to indicate here. So let's say that we select yes. Then again it will ask you for the permanent residency of which particular country. So for example, if you had permanent residency from, let's say, Qatar, then you need to select that here, right? So whichever country you had the permanent residency from, you need to indicate the name here as well. So for now, we're going to select no and move to the next. Next, it's asking for national identification number. Now, the first thing to note here is that national identification number is not the same as your passport number. This is a very common mistake. We see that students put their passport number in the national identification number, when passport number is going to be asked to you somewhere later in the form. So national identification number could be your Aadhaar card number. So if you have an Aadhaar card, you could enter that. If you're from any other country other than India, then you might have an ID card of your country wherein there is a number which is indicated, and that is an ID card issued commonly to everybody in that country. Then you could put in that number here. And in case you're not sure of what this number is or you don't have it, you can also tick does not apply. So for the sake of this form, I'm just going to tick does not apply. But if you have any of this number, you can put that here. Next is social security number. So if you've ever worked in the US, you would have a social security number, and that is what needs to be indicated here. So for now, we'll select does not apply. Same thing with the US taxpayer ID. If you have ever worked in the US, you've paid taxes, then you would have this taxpayer ID. So if you had any such information, you need to be genuine and honest and put it here. If not, we're going to select does not apply. So this completes this particular page of our form, and we are going to quickly hit save, hit continue application, so that we are done with this section. So this completes the personal information page of your form, and you can also see there's a small tick which has come here, which means we are done with this section. So just to summarize it quickly, personal information is basically all the information that you're going to give to the visa officer as per your passport. So right from your name, your place of birth, your country of origin, all of it needs to match your passport. And just in case you have any other extra information to share with respect to permanent residency that you hold or other names that you have used, then it's best to be completely honest and put in all that information in the form as well. So I hope you too have filled out this particular section of the form, and I'm going to see you in the next section, which is going to be the travel. So welcome to the next section, that's the travel information. So this is one of the most important parts of the form, and this part of the form is going to tell the visa officer the exact information about where you're going, which university, how many years you intend to stay there, who's paying for your education, and also if you had any previous visa refusals. So let's start filling this form. So the first question that is asked to us is select the purpose of the trip to the US, which means select which visa category you are applying for. So if you click on this drop box, you will see that all the non-immigrant visa categories are listed here. And for us, the relevant one right now is the F category, which is the academic or the language student. So we're going to click on F. And you'll see that once you select F, it asks you to specify, because within F, there are various categories. There is F1 and F2 who are the dependents. So we are filling it out as a student. So we're going to select F1. So this completes this part of the form. Next comes the travel plans. Now, this is again a section which is very important to understand. So there are two ways in which you could fill out the travel plans. One is by saying that you have made specific travel plans, which means that you select yes here. And you can see that once you select yes here, it starts asking you for flight number, arrival city, departure flight, all of this which you might not have at hand when you're going to fill this form. So To keep the form brief and really simple, it's best to make the specific travel plan section as no, which means that you're going to give a tentative travel plan, and that is pretty much sufficient. That's completely enough to indicate your travel plans to the US. So, have you made specific travel plans? I'm going to select no, and then it will ask me for an intended date of arrival. That means, what is the tentative date in which I plan to arrive in the US? To get this date, you need to look at your I-20. So I hope you have your I-20 handy with you. So look at your I-20 and you will see that in the I-20 you will have a program start date mentioned. So what you would want to do is to keep the intended date of arrival about 10 days before the program start date, which means that you plan to arrive in US about 10 days before the start of your program. So let's say that our program is beginning on 10th of Jan. So I'm going to keep the intended date of arrival as 1st Jan 2024, and that completes this section. Next is intended length of stay in the US. Now, next is intended length of stay in the US. So this is basically how long you plan to stay in the US. Now, for this, you need to select the duration same as the duration of your course, which means that if you're going for a master's, you need to select it as 2 years. If you're going for a bachelor's, you need to select it as 4 years. And if you're going for a PhD or a doctorate, you need to select it as 5 years. The mistake which happens here is that students put in the same duration as their I-20. Now, the thing with I-20 is that I-20 duration is variable, and usually universities give some extra time or buffer time in the I-20. So while your master's might be of 2 years, your I-20 might indicate it as 3 years. Similarly, while your bachelor is of 4 years, your I-20 might indicate it as 5 years. So my advice here would be, don't go by the I-20, but keep the intended length of stay same as the duration of your course. So if I'm going for a master's, I intend to complete it in 2 years. So I'm going to pick 2. So if you're going for bachelor's, you can put 4 here. If you're going for a doctorate, you can put 5 here. Next, address where you will stay in the US. So this is asking for an address where we are going to be in the US. So at this point of time, you will not have any address or accommodation booked, which is completely fine. So what you need to do here is put this address same as your university address, which means that you're going to find an accommodation either on campus or close to the campus. So I'm going to enter the university details here. Now, for the sake of this form, I'm assuming that the student is going to Northeastern Boston. So I'm going to enter details of Northeastern here, and you can enter the exact address of your university. So let me just look up the address of Northeastern. Here I have it, and I'm going to fill this out. Address is optional. City is Boston. State is Massachusetts. And the zip code is 02115. So you simply need to Google the university name and you will get all of these details. So here I have the university address. The next question is person paying for the trip. Again, this is very important and a place where a lot of mistakes tend to happen. So when they say person paying for the trip, they don't really mean the flight. What they mean is your stay in the US. Who's the person who's going to be funding your stay, your education in the US? So select the person who is your sponsor. Let's say that if your parent is your sponsor, then select it as other. And when you select it as other, you will have to enter all details of that person. So for a student, the two options which would make sense is either self or other. Now you select self only if you are funding the majority of the education. Let's say that you have worked for significant years and you have your own savings and you are funding the majority of your education. If that's the case, then go ahead and select self, and that would be the end of this section. However, if your parent is sponsoring you and the parent is the main sponsor, then you need to select other person here. Another point of confusion to understand here is that many students get confused by the account. They feel that, okay, the money is in my account, so I'm the sponsor. Well, don't go by the account. Account doesn't matter. The money could be in your account, your mother or your father's account. Who is the source of the funds? That really is the question here. That means who is the actual sponsor, and that person's name needs to be put in here. So I'm going to select other person, and then the details of the parent needs to be entered here. So I'm going to quickly pull out the details of the parent here and put it in here. So I'm going to quickly pull out the details of the parent and put it in here. So surname is Fernandez, and let's enter John. Telephone number, so you need to give the telephone number of your sponsor, which has to be here. Same, you need to give an email ID. So I'm just going to put in a dummy email ID for now, and a dummy telephone number. But when you enter the form, make sure that you put in the correct details. Now all of these are small things which are important, because let's assume that your application goes into some type of background check. Then they're going to use this data to contact the people you have mentioned to confirm about the details that you've entered in the form. So the telephone number, email ID, the name, all of this should be the actual names and details. Relationship to, I'm going to select parent. Now, some of you might have a sponsor other than the parent. If that is the case, then you can select the other option. So you will see that there are various options available. So there is parent. Some of you might have spouse as your sponsor, so you can select spouse. You might have an uncle, grandfather, aunt sponsoring you, so you select other relative. So you can pick one of the three options which applies in your case and indicate it here. And just in case nothing is applicable to you, you can also select other. However, for a student visa, it's best if the sponsor is a parent, a spouse, or a relative. Try to avoid friends or people who are not really connected to you being your sponsor. So for the sake of this form, I'm going to select parent. And then it asks for address. So it says, is the address of the party paying for the trip same as your home or mailing address? So what it's asking is that the person who's sponsoring you, what is their address? Is their address same as your home or mailing address? So let's say that your parent is sponsoring and the permanent address of your parent is same as your address. In that case, you just need to tick yes here. So how do you check it? Check the Aadhaar card or the passport. If the Aadhaar card or the passport of you and your parent has the same address, you can just tick a yes here. In case it is different, then you need to tick a no here. And then it will open out another section wherein you need to give address of the person paying. So don't get confused and enter your address here. It is address of the person who's paying for the trip, which means that you'll have to enter the address of the parent. So again here I'm going to enter a dummy address. So I've just entered a dummy address here. Alright, but when you enter, you need to give the actual address of your parent, or if the address is the same, just tick yes here. So this completes a very important section, the travel. Before anything happens, let me just quickly save the form first and click on continue application. So here we have the travel section filled out. So just to summarize, the travel information is really important. And here what you are going to give information is about which visa category you're applying for, what are your travel plans, that means which date you plan to arrive in US, how long you plan to stay, the address which is going to be the same as your university address, and give details of the person who is paying for your trip, which means details of the person paying for your education. So there you have it. With this, you have completed this particular section of the form. And I hope you too have filled in all of these details. If you haven't, you can just pause the toolkit right here and complete this part of your DS-160 form. And I'll see you in the next section, which is the travel companions. And yeah, of course, we have got a tick here. So we are officially done, and I'll see you in the next section.